Hi, I'm David Lewis, one of the tutors with Literacy Action of Central Arkansas, and thank you for joining us. This orientation is intended to help you get ready to participate in one of the most rewarding solutions to one of the most pressing problems of our time, illiteracy. Like you, I came to Literacy Action of Central Arkansas because I wanted to help. I wanted to give something back to my community. I don't have a teaching background. Most tutors don't. Some do. But I do speak English and I can read and I care about people. And that's all you really need to be a good tutor. Everything else you need to know, the folks at Literacy Action are going to teach you.
Literacy Action is a small, local nonprofit that began in 1986 with 6 dedicated volunteer tutors offering free literacy tutoring to adults. Today, we have 3 paid staff, an active board of directors, and over 100 tutors throughout Central Arkansas. We train tutors to work with adult basic literacy students, or ABL students, and ESL students, or English as a Second Language, sometimes called English Language Learners, or ELL. We also have family literacy, citizenship, and jail literacy programs. Let's talk about low literacy. About 36 million adults in the U.S. can't read or write or do basic math skills above the 3rd grade level. Of native speakers, 1 in 5 high school students drop out every year.
So 1 in 5 adults in Arkansas read at or below the most basic level. That's 21% of adults here in Pulaski County. So people with low literacy are challenged in so many ways, and their children are challenged as well. In school, they tend to perform poorly, they drop out of school, they get lost, and they rarely do better than their parents as far as academic achievement. So these are the kind of challenges that we fight at Literacy Action. It's why our family literacy programs are so important. Because we're trying to break the cycle of generational illiteracy and poverty.
Our basic literacy students come to us for a variety of reasons. They are native speakers of English, but they have low or no literacy skills. Sometimes they've gone through high school, they may even have a high school diploma, but they came out without being able to read.
About half of our English language learners that come from other countries don't have a high school education from their own country. So this presents all kinds of challenges. Most of them are not proficient in English. They don't speak enough English to get a good job or any kind of family supporting employment. So these are the kind of challenges that we try to help them overcome at Literacy Action.
People who cannot read have developed amazing coping and compensation skills to get along and work around daily life. Often they become invisible because they're ashamed and don't want to be found out. There is usually a real lack of self-esteem and sense of worth. They are often frustrated and angry.
The lack of literacy or language skills that our students have, both categories, whether they're learning English as their second language or if they are native English speakers, those lack of skills can affect all aspects of their life. So we try to help with job literacy, so workforce skills if they need it, health literacy, and financial literacy. Whatever the student needs to help in their life. You might not think about it, but it affects everything. And especially it can affect their health in their life because they might be intimidated in the medical settings, talking to their doctor. They may not be able to, they can't read the literature or information about conditions they might have or even that their children might have. Medications, even over the counter at the store, they're not sure which ones they might need to buy for whatever is wrong with them. So we try to help teach them these things. So we work on reading labels and we work on questions to ask your doctor and things that they will need to help in this situation so that their health is not affected by their lack of literacy.
If you're thinking about being a tutor, be a tutor. I can't think of a better way to spend your time, you know, especially if you really want to give back somehow. The thing that almost everybody has to offer is that they can speak English and read and write English. And that's all you need to know. You don't have to know another language. I really recommend it to people who are recently retired.
I come here, I can learn new phrases, new idioms. You know, I can feel more connected with the American culture.
They're great people, and they're always appreciative, which is, I mean, more so than I feel like I deserve almost, because I don't feel like I'm working as hard as they are working.
The Literacy Action of Arkansas, they are helping me a lot, and I'm so glad.
They're extremely grateful, and that makes you feel good too. When somebody, you know, thanks you and it's from their heart, then that touches you.
Not only a teacher, you need your teacher need to be like your friend. It's like something make you feel proud if you are improving the life of somebody who's helping with. You think English is something, but you are helping a lot in the life of that person. It's not only a language, it's more than that, you know.
I tutor because I really enjoy helping people grow intellectually and emotionally.
A lot of these students have never had anyone who has helped them just out of the goodness of their heart. And so for them to have someone who is volunteering just to sit beside them and read or speak English and practice English with them, it's just amazing to them. And the students are so thankful. They have an inner motivation. And so if you can tap into their motivation and keep them on track, that's something that a lot of them need. So students come to us in several different ways. Some of them find us through word of mouth, and others through internet searches, or they could be referred by agencies. It could be the library, it could be an adult education center, or some other agency. Sometimes students want to get their GED, but they're not at the level yet, and they need help with reading before they're able to take the GED test. Our ESL students more often find us through word of mouth or through internet searches. But for those adult basic literacy students who come to us, it can be a really big step for them to come. It can be something that takes a lot of time and a lot of courage before they build up the kind of inner strength that they need to be able to walk through the door. So sometimes we get phone calls and they make an appointment and then they don't come, and maybe the third time they'll finally come. And when after someone comes in, we make an appointment, or we can go ahead and do their intake paperwork. During that time, I try to find out as much as I can about them, about their needs and their background, their learning issues, things that a tutor would need to know to be ready to tutor them. Once I find out that information, that's recorded in their student file, and then I will proceed to test them. So for the adult basic literacy students, we do the TABE, which is a test of adult basic education, just the reading section, and that gives us a baseline reading level, kind of a grade level for them. It helps us find the books that we need for them. For our ESL students, we just do a placement test that goes along with our curriculum, and that lets us know which books to use. So you would be provided with that information as a tutor. For someone to be a good tutor, I think they need to be flexible, they need to be patient, they need to be a good listener, someone who accepts others as they are, accepts other people's mistakes, and just wants to help. That's the main thing, is just to be a cheerleader for your student. A love of words, a love of language is helpful. You don't need to have a college degree. You don't need to have any teaching experience, but someone who has that willingness to learn and to share the joy of learning, the joy of reading, the joy of language, That's really helpful in a tutor. One thing that we need you to do as a tutor is just respect your students' confidentiality. Some students are a little shy or a little private about what they're doing. They may not even want to share it with their family and friends. If that's the case, you know, it's just something to keep in mind that we have a confidentiality agreement that tutors sign. Other students are totally open about it and are proud of it and don't mind at all. But if you do have a student who is a little bit more private about their tutoring, then that's something to keep in mind, is that you also must maintain their confidentiality.
Well, I think we all get a little intimidated when we think of tutoring adults. I think it's very natural. But stop and think about what it's like, how you best learn as an adult. First of all, it has to be relevant, doesn't it? It has to be relevant to where we are right now. We may live in poverty or have a scarcity mindset, like I don't have enough, or I don't have enough of anything I want, or you know, there isn't enough to go around, or I'm not enough. So the adults who come to us have their own sets of issues, all kinds of different things, and it's really important for us as tutors to meet the adults where they're at. To the degree that we're motivated, we're pretty self-motivated with concrete goals and aspirations. For example, I have a student who's in her 60s, and she came to us really wanting to learn to read, having never gone beyond 3rd or 4th grade. And now she, after almost a year of tutoring, she is reading 2 levels beyond what she started. It's awesome. I'm very proud of her.
I have a dream. I would like to be an actor.
Our students all have different personal goals, and what we do is help them to achieve some of those goals through improved English and language skills. I'm thinking of one of my students, a young man named Sergei, who came here from Ukraine. He's a Russian speaker with very limited English. Well, we worked together as he was striving to meet his goal of passing the commercial driver's license test so that he could drive a truck in America for a living. And I am thrilled to report that he is out there as we speak, driving coast to coast, earning a living, supporting himself and supporting his family back home, and he's doing great. I'm very proud of Sergei.
Remember, English is a nearly universal language. It is used internationally in businesses and commerce, diplomacy, and so on. And though we want our students to be accustomed to living in our American society, many ESL students are keenly aware that they will probably do a lot of international travel. So we want to help them be ready. Other kinds of literacy that you might be able to offer are digital literacy, for students to be able to access information on the computer and to navigate the online world. Students often need health literacy, as many native speakers are intimidated by going to a doctor or reading health literature. So reading drug labels, nutrition labels, making good food choices in the grocery store, reading recipes and so on are all a part of what often needs to be done. Maybe it's getting ready for the driver's test. Maybe it's handwriting for filling out job applications. Maybe it's being able to read to kids or grandkids. Your student has their life and they have the goals they want met, which they're willing to work toward. It's up to you to give them the personal attention to find what goals they're willing to work on a one-to-one class, or maybe you'd be willing to teach a small class of several students.
So as far as your schedule with your tutoring your student, it's really going to be flexible. You can work with whenever you and your student are available. So it usually looks like 2 to 3 hours per week. Most tutors and students meet twice a week for 1 hour each session. The place is up to you as well, whatever's mutually good for you both. Almost all meet in a public library that's near them. So the different branches of the public library are very convenient and it's free to use. That just seems to be the easiest place for everybody to meet. We don't recommend going somewhere private or inside tutor or student homes. until after. That is up to you, but I would recommend waiting until you know each other well and enough to do that. Beforehand, just stay in public places. It seems to be best. Some things that we expect of you: we expect you to be consistent with meeting, so be on time, be respectful of each other's time. Make sure that if you're going to be late or if you're not going to be able to meet, you communicate with your student every time. So as far as communicating with us with your tutoring time, you don't have to let us know every time you can't tutor, but if it's going to be an extended period of time for a vacation or something, or if your student has stopped coming, then please let us know. One thing that's very important is the requirement to report your tutoring and preparation time to us. We ask that you try to do it weekly or bi-weekly, and the reason that it's so important is because our grants require us to show the work we're doing, and so we depend on grants to keep going. And if we don't have any proof or anything to show that our tutors are actually out there working and working with students, then our funding will disappear. And so it's very important, and it is actually required that you report that time to us.
Please let us know if you'd like to tutor with us, and we hope you do. In thinking it over, be sure to consider your time, energy, and other obligations. And when you're ready, sign up for your next step, which is a tutor training workshop.
Again, we can't thank you enough for sharing your time and talents with us at Literacy Action of Central Arkansas. If our mission calls to you, we hope you'll join our volunteer team. If you have 2 to 3 hours a week that you can spend preparing for classes, tutoring our students, you'll have some travel time, you'll have some reporting time, but every minute you spend with Literacy Action will help change somebody's life, and it might change yours too. Volunteers are the very heart of this organization, and we literally could not do it without them. So we're thrilled that you want to serve, and we've got a place for you.